Hi, just watched Super Mario Galaxy. Super Mario? Um, Super Mario Bros. Movie. Super Mario Galaxy. I had watched the first Mario when it came out a few years ago, and I enjoyed it. I really liked it. I don't remember the story too much, but I also don't remember going for the story necessarily. I was just really excited to see a movie about Mario and Luigi. I thought that was cool that they were doing that. And so, that movie was kind of like a very fun, low stakes movie for me. Super fun, pretty to look at. I think the animators did a really good job building out the Mario world, and there's a lot of fun references to the game, and they creatively incorporated parts about the game, like how the pipes are used for transportation. I wanted to rewatch that movie before I watched Mario Galaxy. I didn't get a chance to, so I kind of just watched Super Mario Galaxy as its own movie, which maybe helped out the experience because I didn't have too much of a frame of reference. I was just watching this movie for this movie. I don't know. I enjoyed this movie. Similarly to the first movie, I like how they incorporated references and parts of the game in the movie, and they adapted parts of the game interestingly for the movie. For example, the introduction of Yoshi was interesting. I knew that he was going to be a part of this movie because I believe they teased him at the end of the first movie. And so it was cool to see. I could kind of see where they were going with foreshadowing that there was going to be some big scary monster. But there's always a turning point in the moments in this movie that I notice as a pattern where you have this sense of there's a real threat, a real danger, and then at one point you realize, oh, everything's going to be okay, or the protagonists are going to find a way out of it, or the danger is actually a friend that we just don't know or understand yet. And I think my biggest complaint about this movie is that it was just formula after formula after formula after trope after trope after trope. I felt like I was watching a comedy movie that was using Mario character skins. They did a cool job of introducing these characters and establishing who they are in this universe, but beyond that, it's almost like, and I can't, okay, the spirit of the characters felt wildly different than the spirit of the characters in the game, which I'm not super well versed on the game, so maybe I don't know, but it just feels like the studio that wrote these characters didn't write them with the original character's character in mind. But that's just me. For example, the jokes that the characters tell felt like they could have existed in any modern day comedy. You had classic tropes such as Mario and Luigi and Yoshi sneaking into a compound, and Mario does like hand signals to them to signal what it is that they should be doing instead of speaking out loud because he's trying to be covert and sneaky. And Luigi goes, I don't understand what you're saying. And Mario goes, you go this way and I go that way. And like I've heard that joke a million times in a million other movies. And I'll say another one if it comes to me, but it was just kind of recycled joke after recycled line like that throughout the entire movie, all within the bounds of the Mario world and the Mario IP, So the vehicle by which all of these recycled bits and jokes and lines and tropes were delivered were through the Mario Galaxy world. So it was always cool. It was always flashy to look at and visually appealing. But the writing of the character, like the characters didn't have a ton of substance. I I failed to catch what the conflict of the movie was. And, well, actually, no. Now that I think about it, I think really the conflict of this movie may have been reuniting Peach with Rosalina and helping Bowser rekindle his connection with his son. At least those were conflicts that existed in the movie. But it felt like the conflicts were kind of all over the place. Like in the beginning, you see that Bowser's kind of working through his anger issues, and he has a few moments where he loses his temper with Mario and he starts yelling at him, and then he remembers, oh, I'm small, I can't do anything, which is like a way for him to kind of bring him back down to reality because he's working on his anger issues, which is an interesting spin on Bowser. And that's another example of where I felt like, okay, this is, like, we're just doing something completely different with Bowser that's never been done, which is not wrong. It's not wrong. But I couldn't really, like, I didn't feel like the evolution between classic Bowser, evil tyrant, and this new Bowser who's trying to turn over a new leaf, I didn't see that common thread. And maybe it's because I didn't watch the other movie before this movie. So if that's the missing link, then I'll go watch the previous movie. But it was just like the changes in how the characters behaved and carried themselves didn't feel like they were interwoven to the story. Things just kind of happened. Like, we just kind of meet Yoshi. And they even sort of kind of comedically acknowledged that during the movie. Changes like that. Like, when Yoshi joined the group, there's a Toad, and Toad goes, oh, I guess this new dinosaur character has just joined the group. And so now that's just a thing that's part of the story. And it, as a viewer of the movie, it's difficult to buy into that story because things don't just happen in real life. Like wild, out of uncommon things, like you don't just see a dinosaur out of nowhere and you just go, oh, I guess there's just a dinosaur now. Like, there needs to be an appropriate response to an appropriate there needs to be an appropriate response to the event that just happened. The response and the reaction is disproportionately low to the excitement of the thing that just happened. Like, they just met a dinosaur, now he's just there. But maybe in the world of Super Mario, those things are not as wild of a thing to think. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it is a normal thing to happen. Remember, I had a few other thoughts. So you see a ton of different Nintendo characters throughout the movie. Mr. Game & Watch makes an appearance. Star Fox makes an appearance, which I saw him in a trailer, which is so dumb. I don't understand why they would just show their hand like that so early in a trailer. And then the experience of seeing him for the first time is completely ruined because you already saw him. I still don't understand why studios show that so early. It's like they don't trust their story enough to just let the audience come and experience it. They have to wave the bright shiny object in front of them months prior to the movie coming out to guarantee that they'll come to see the rest of the movie because they know that one moment will happen. But anyway, these guys appear, and like, I don't know, they just kind of, hey, it's me, Star Fox. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I see Star Fox, but the character that's acting out is just like some guy in a Star Fox suit. And oh, I remember there was one moment where at the end of the movie, the Princess Peach has like a castle spaceship, and Star Fox is piloting it, and he like drifts it and parks it, and the expression on his face is just so chill and so relaxed. But the ship is giant. It's like it looks like a super difficult ship to pilot and to steer, but it's just easy for him. Like everything is just easy for all the characters in this movie. And even if it looks difficult, even if it looks like they're facing a threat or a challenge, eventually they just find some magical way to overcome the moment. There's a scene where Princess Peach's castle um, uh, is being taken up into the sky by Bowser Jr.'s ship. It's like a UFO. And at one point, they lose hold of the castle, and the castle starts falling, and Yoshi, Luigi, and Mario are holding onto their castle because they're like, oh my gosh, the castle's falling out of the sky. And then it just kept falling. And I was like, oh, are they gonna be okay? Are they gonna die? Because they're falling out of the sky on a giant castle. And then the castle crashes onto the ground, and it stays together. I'm like, oh, the castle survived. And then you see Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi get thrown from the top of the castle onto the ground. I'm like, oh, now the characters are going to die because they're getting thrown from the top of the castle, and they get thrown on the ground, and they get up, and they're fine. And then the castle starts falling. I'm like, oh, shoot, now the castle's going to fall on them, and it's going to bury them. And then the castle falls, and it crumbles, and then they get covered in the rubble, and they throw the rubble off, and they're all okay. And then Mario goes, is everyone okay? And they're like, we're okay. And it's like, was there any real threat the entire time? Or are they just going to be able to get out alive all the time without having to really do anything to work for it? It also kind of took away some of the cool elements of the game. For example, you can eat a flower, and Mario and Luigi can transform and throw fireballs out of their hands, which they showed in the beginning of the movie, which was cool. But then later on in the movie, I believe once they have a battle with the Bowsers, they start ingesting all of these different substances to give them different powers, and that bit is sort of like a montage. Like they reduce all of those cool things down to, oh, now Mario can fly, now Mario can shoot laser beams out of his eyes, now he can do all of these cool things, and he just has to eat this substance, which in the game you don't really think about because the game is still hard. It's like an advantage, like a temporary advantage that you have, but in the movie it just felt easy. Like, oh, he has to, he has a disadvantage on the ground. He'll just eat something and then he can fly, and now he doesn't have a disadvantage. And so it kind of took away from the wow factor of Mario and Luigi being able to transform. So I think overall, this movie is going to be fun for kids and fun for people that don't nitpick like me and try to find some way for the story to convince me of itself. But I didn't feel that with this movie. I just felt like it was trying to shotgun as many Nintendo references as it possibly could, which are always fun, but you can't just do references. You can't just have big, flashy, hand-wavy moments. Everything has to be underscored with a solid story, and I think that goes for anything. Like, for me to believe anything in life, it has to convince me that it's something worth believing. Like, if I'm gonna get into a plane, if I'm gonna get onto a plane and fly to wherever, I have to trust that the plane is going to get me there safely. If I don't believe that the plane is going to get me there safely, I'm not going to buy into the idea of the plane. And that's for anything. I mean, movies are no different. Obviously, movies are not real. Someone made it. But if you want to be able to be captivated by the experience of watching a movie, there has to be some degree of convincing that the movie does for the audiences. And it just didn't feel like that was the goal of this movie. I felt like the goal of this movie was to jam as many references into the runtime as much as possible. And to me, that's reinforced by how they marketed the movie. And the way that they marketed the movie was by, you know, editing it according to your typical template of big blockbuster movies, where they time the bass. It's with all of these big moments in the movie, and then show a couple of cameos here and there. It just didn't feel like the story was the main point. But I don't know. I also only saw one trailer a while back, so I could be wrong about that too. But anyway, it was a fun movie. The writing was lacking, but it's a cool enough IP that I hope that they still continue to make movies and make something cool with it in the future. And it would be really cool to see more interaction of these Nintendo characters together. Hopefully we get better writing with them in the future. Yeah, thanks for listening to my review. Bye-bye.